Okay. At the end, after today, the PowerPoint slides, this video, along with South Carolina State Library branded marketing information that you can hand out to patrons and post in your library, will be available on the Niche Academy. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Diana.
Good morning. Thank you, Chrissy, for inviting us to present today. I'm Diana Coho with the Federal Communication Commission. I'm in the Consumer Affairs and Outreach Division of the Consumer and Governmental Affairs Bureau. So thank you so much for having us. What I'm going to do now is pull up my PowerPoint here, go to share screen, and then that will serve as the basis for our talk today. Let's see. All right. Looks like you can see it. Is it working? Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. So today's talk is about the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. We'll talk about what the benefit is, who's eligible, how households can apply, and then the outreach toolkits, which thanks to Chrissy, I see you're already using a lot of that material. So that's wonderful. So the benefit provides a temporary discount. And again, the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program was created in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it provides a discount on monthly broadband bills for qualifying low-income households. Eligible households can receive up to $50 a month on their broadband service, which shows up on your internet bill, and some associated equipment rentals. So this is not a program where people get checks in the mail or where they would actually get cash. It will show up as a discount. On tribal lands, the discount is up to $75 a month. And there is also some service providers that are providing a discount of up to $100 for certain devices, either a laptop, a desktop computer, or a tablet. And again, it has to be purchased through a participating provider, and the consumer must contribute toward the purchase price. They have to contribute anywhere from over $10 to up to less than $50. So somewhere in that range. So who qualifies for the benefit? There's several ways, pathways to eligibility, and it hinges on a household and just one member. If any member of the household has either received a Pell Grant in the current award year, that's for schooling, whether they're approved to receive benefits under the free and reduced school lunch program or school breakfast program in the 2019 to 2020 or the 2020 to 21 school year. If they experienced a substantial loss of income, and again, this is due to a job loss or furlough since the end of February 2020, or the household had a total income in 2020, either below $99,000 for single filers or twice that, $198,000 for joint filers. So again, the substantial loss of income has to be related to COVID, which occurred in that time frame. There's another way too. There are some participating providers that have existing COVID-19 or low-income programs. And if the FCC has approved them and the people that are eligible, then they could also be eligible for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. There's another way as well. So the Lifeline program has been going on at the FCC for a number of years. It's people that are enrolled or that qualify for Lifeline can also qualify for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. So it's a different program, but what the Lifeline program does is it provides a discount on phone and internet where eligible customers can get up to $9.25 off the cost of the bill, or up to $34.25 on tribal lands toward the bill. So to qualify for Lifeline, the household income has to be less than 135% of the federal poverty guidelines, or a member of the household participates in either the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. There's a number of federal programs, but that's one. Medicaid, Supplemental Social Security Income, receives benefits with federal public housing assistance, veterans pension and survivor benefits. And there's, in addition to the list of federal programs, there's also a list of tribal programs for those that live on qualifying tribal lands. So what is a household? This is important in determining eligibility. A household is a group of people who live together and share money and expenses, even if they're not related to each other. So if you live together and share money, you're considered one household. In the student housing example, sometimes maybe there's a couple of students renting an apartment together, and maybe they're all sharing funds in the sense that they're all contributing toward rent. Maybe each one is contributing like a third of utilities. That would be one household. And then when there's one household in the program, then there's one benefit per household. But sometimes there are more than one household at a same address. So we'll talk about that too. And a household worksheet is available to assist in determining eligibility. Sometimes there can be multi-generational households, more than one family living at a home. And if they have separate funds and separate expenses, then they might be considered to be more than one household at that address. Another example is multi-unit dwellings, such as apartments, also homeless shelters, nursing homes, assisted living. Again, there are multiple households at the same dwelling. So households within a multi-unit dwelling sometimes has an arrangement with the landlord or property owner where they are the internet account holder. And we encourage them to work together to apply the benefit to service if these various households would otherwise qualify. Also, if a household has a bill or other liability for broadband access that someone else, such as a property owner, is helping to pay, the household could switch temporarily to using EBB, Emergency Broadband Benefit support, to pay for broadband service instead of relying on that third-party support. We have a really detailed list of FAQs on our website, which I'll point you to in a minute, that also address some of these different scenarios. So things to be aware of: the enrollment just began on May the 12th. The Emergency Broadband Benefit is a temporary program that was developed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So the program will end either when the funds are exhausted — there was a $3.2 billion appropriation for this — or 6 months after Department of Health and Human Services declares an end to the pandemic, whichever comes first. Another thing is that the program is administered by the Universal Service Administrative Company, or USAC. They administer the Lifeline program as well, and they host the application portal, getemergencybroadband.org consumer website, where people go to sign up. So before we get into enrollment, there are some consumer protections in place that are good to be aware of. Participating service providers must give households notice initially that it is a temporary benefit, in other words, the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, and that information, as well as information about the last date or billing cycle that the full benefit would apply to their bill, as well as the date or billing cycle that a partial benefit will apply to their bill. This is because sometimes the billing cycle may not align exactly with whatever date the program would end. Households will also need to opt in or request to continue broadband service with their provider once the program ends. If they don't opt in or select a new service plan with their provider, their broadband service will end once the program ends. So this is true even if they had service with the same provider before enrolling in the Emergency Broadband Benefit. This is because the program's ending. So they would need to opt in to continue service after the program ends. So participating internet service providers are listed on our website, and USAC also has a tool where you can enter information. I think it just goes by zip code, and you can find who is participating in your area. You can also find out what type of service are being offered, and also whether or not they're participating in the device purchase aspect of the program. Not all providers are offering connected devices, and in other words, the laptops and desktop computers and tablets. So for enrollment information, there are 3 different ways that people can enroll. One is by contacting a participating broadband provider directly. And again, you can find them on the USAC site or on the FCC website. There's a list by state. Option 2, go directly to the portal, getemergencybroadband.org, to apply online. And also there is where you can find the participating providers. Or the third option is to mail in an application along with proof of eligibility to the address there, the PO Box in London, Kentucky. And we'll go into each of these in just a little more detail. So to enroll with the service provider, you can contact them directly, and you can also find them by state on our site at fcc.gov/broadband benefit. The service provider can assist a consumer in person if they come in person, and also can point them the National Verifier Service Provider Portal. That basically that comes through the USAC. So once people apply, then the database will try to verify the eligibility of the people that are applying. So the service provider can help consumers apply, but there's no one is being automatically enrolled. So we went through the list of eligible programs and the different ways that people are eligible, but people still have to apply directly themselves and sign the application and enroll in the program. You can apply directly online with the getemergencybroadband.org. Click how to apply and complete the electronic application. There's also a way to upload documents to verify whichever eligibility criteria you are applying under. So for example, for the substantial loss of income, perhaps a furlough notice or proof showing that you signed up for unemployment benefits after that February 29th date of 2020. And once you apply online, then you will receive an eligibility determination from the National Verifier. That's a database that USAC has. So for example, if someone's saying that they're enrolled through, that they're eligible because they're enrolled in one of the listed programs, the SNAP program, for example, or Medicaid, then the database will reach out directly and try to verify with the enrolled members of those other programs to come up with the eligibility determination. So it's important, if you're assisting people with this, to let them know that they should fill everything out exactly the same on this application as it appears on these other eligible programs. So things like using a middle initial, or for their street address, if they're spelling out the word street versus using an abbreviation of ST, things like this, that we want to make it as smooth as possible and as easy as possible to try and verify that eligibility through the database. So if you're applying by mail, the application can be printed off and downloaded either through perhaps one of your libraries there, or with participating providers, or whatever way people want to access that application. And then it's very important when you're mailing in the application to also include your supporting documentation to prove eligibility, as well as the household worksheet if that's needed, if you're in a situation where there could be more than one eligible household. So to show that you qualify, you can look at the very last line here, the getemergencybroadband.org/how-to-apply/show you qualify. There's a series of like buttons and pull down menus, and there's a lot of detailed information there on the type of documentation that USAC will be looking for to prove eligibility. So the last portion of the talk today is about the outreach toolkits. We're so excited that you're already using them and you're doing some tailoring and co-branding and that type of thing. So there's three sort of types of materials. One is for social media outreach. One is printed materials, fact sheets and posters, things like that, as well as videos, public service announcements. And we'll go through each of these in just a little more detail. There's also a PowerPoint slide deck. It's a little shorter than this one today, but it's a good overview of the program as well. So logos, images like the ones you saw in this presentation today are available for download and use in various types of media, draft social media posts, press release, newsletter inserts, handouts, posters, information to explain to people briefly what the program is and how they can apply, as well as some infographics and American Sign Language video, as well as an overview video, how to apply, radio, public service announcements, and the PowerPoint deck that we talked about. So we're trying to make this as accessible as we can to get the word out and help eligible people enroll in the program. Another thing we wanted to talk about with accessibility is that if you look in the middle of the slide here, translated material, there are some materials, the fact sheet, the little tip cards, as we call them, 9x5 info cards, and the quarter page handout that have been translated into 12 languages that are listed there on the left. And those are in alphabetical order. So some of the materials have already been translated. And for alternate formats for people with disabilities, you can send an email to fcc504@fcc.gov. And that is our inbox for that. So that will live on past the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. So you might want to keep that handy in case you ever have a need to request materials in Braille or large print or various formats to try to help make them more accessible. So if you have any questions, we have our information at fcc.gov/broadband-benefit, as well as the detailed FAQs I talked about. The toll-free number for questions is 833-511-0311. That goes to the USAC helpline to help consumers that are trying to enroll or have questions. To apply directly online, get emergencybroadband.org. And there's also a dashboard now that's being posted that shows each week how many people are enrolled in the program. And once a month, it will track the funding levels and how much funding has been spent and how much funding is still available for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. So with that, I will stop sharing and see if we have any questions. Okay.
Tina doesn't have any questions.
Well, Chrissy knows how to get a hold of me. So if you have any questions or things come up, please feel free to reach out. Or we also have an email inbox, which is broadband benefit, all together, broadband benefit @fcc.gov. And so if you have detailed questions that you want to submit there, they will be routed to the appropriate subject matter expert.
Jennifer, did you have any questions?
No, it sounds pretty straightforward. I'm just hoping people take advantage of the program because it's awesome.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and appreciate your interest and assistance, and Chrissy, with all your help too, and all the work that you've done to really use some of these outreach materials to try to get prepared and try to help people. So that's
Thank you,
wonderful.
Diana. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Tina and Jennifer, for attending.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And yeah, I see Tina did put something in the chat, but I don't have any information about whether the program could be extended. Again, it was appropriated by Congress. It was passed on the Hill. And so we don't have any further information at this time about any future changes or plans, but it just launched in May. So we're happy that it's, it's growing and people are getting enrolled. So appreciate your interest.
Hi, thanks, Tina. Thanks, Jennifer. And thank you, Diana. We'll get our stuff up on our website, and I'm sure we'll get hits after.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks. We're still recording, so I don't know.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take good care.
You too.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good day.
You too. Bye for now.